There's news this week that Joe Biden's wife, that Hunter Biden's wife had thrown a gun in a dumpster and lost the gun, and the Secret Service and the FBI swooped in to try to, it looks like, take records that they shouldn't have to protect information about losing the gun from getting out. No questions about that. No questions about Hunter Biden generally and what happened with China and Ukraine. I mean, that's gone down the memory hole. There needs to be a special counsel. And I don't comment on all the politics back and forth in Washington, D.C. as much as some of you might like, because a lot of it is passing and unimportant. But what I do think is important, and I will spend a minute or two on this, is the cognitive challenges of Joe Biden. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this. Maybe I'll get censored for talking about it. But I'm sure many of you will watch the press conference from yesterday. You saw his fall going up the stairs to Air Force One the other day. And I guess everyone falls. It's probably not the end of the world. But what struck me about his fall was his seeming inability to right himself up again, and falling not once, but twice, but three times. And the evident cognitive decline, I think, that you saw firsthand on television if you were watching his press conference. Now, has he been diagnosed? I don't know. But all we can do is judge someone by his behavior in public. And Joe Biden's behavior raises significant concerns about his cognitive abilities and, at least with the fall, his physical abilities. And of course, as you know, if you've ever had any family member who suffered cognitive decline, dementia, or anything else, cognitive decline and physical decline often go hand in hand. So it's very concerning. It's not just us Americans who are watching a weakened Joe Biden engage in the office of the presidency, but our adversaries and every foreign government's watching this very closely. And, I fear they see opportunities potentially when you have a quite visibly weakened president. And so I'm not quite sure what's to be done about it. I know constitutionally what could be done about it. And I don't know constitutionally or politically or reasonably we're at that stage yet. But it's something we have to keep an eye on. And the left media doesn't want to talk about it. They are interested in coddling Joe Biden. So they don't want to talk about anything. I mean, there's news this week about, I shouldn't say they don't want to talk about anything. They don't want to talk about anything negative about Joe Biden. There's news this week that Joe Biden's wife, that Hunter Biden's wife had thrown a gun in a dumpster and lost the gun, and the Secret Service and the FBI swooped in to try to, it looks like, take records that they shouldn't have to protect information about losing the gun from getting out. No questions about that. No questions about Hunter Biden generally and what happened with China and Ukraine. I mean, that's gone down the memory hole. There needs to be a special counsel. Now, I'm not naive as to whether a special counsel is going to do the right thing, i.e. Durham, but under the Justice Department rules, there has to be a special counsel when there's a conflict of interest here. And obviously, is there a conflict of interest? No, but the Justice Department is focused on, and all the Biden administration, practically speaking, their law enforcement apparatus is focused on targeting or making it appear they're targeting for political purposes because they like the consequences politically of making it appear they're targeting Biden's political opposition. They're still trying to use the Capitol riot to justify widespread monitoring of everyday Americans' political opinions and criminalization of the same. And you can see that with the Justice Department's focus on the Capitol riot prosecutions, in the sense many critics have accused them of overcharging people. The courts have raised concerns seemingly about the rhetoric associated with the Justice Department's description of these cases, rhetoric not justified either by the law and or justified by ethics rules, in the sense that they're trying to inflame the jury pool. So we're in dire straits as in terms of having confidence in the Justice Department and the FBI. As you may know, if you've been watching Judicial Watch for some time, you know that I've had little confidence in the Justice Department and the FBI for years now. And many of the same individuals responsible for the corruption during the Obama administration never left, because they were just embedded in the civil service and the Justice Department, et cetera. Some of them are being rehired by Biden and confirmed by Republicans in the Senate with nary an objection, or not enough of an objection. So this highlights the importance of Judicial Watch's work. Now, we can't prosecute anyone, but we can get information about what's going on, so the American people know what's up and what's down, and that law enforcement has either less excuse to do the right thing or no leeway to do the wrong thing, because we've exposed what's the truth behind some of their activities. So, we're facing a crisis with Joe Biden. We've got the border crisis. We have the spending crisis. With all due respect to our friends in the Trump administration, there was a bit of a spending crisis, blessed by too many Republicans as well during the Trump administration. Spending was out of control. Now it's just completely out of control. $1.9 trillion in money, much of which is designed just to provide cash to Biden's political allies. Now they're talking trillions of dollars or more in spending. So our country is being buffeted by the radical left and the corrupt agenda that often accompanies their policy proposals, because it's not the policy disagreements that we have issues with, it's the underlying corruption. And as conservatives, we understand that big government means big corruption often. And now the government's bigger than ever. There are less checks on it than ever. And we have a media class that is been completely I should try to think of the right word. It has been completely overtaken or sublimated to the goals of the government class. And so anyone who objects to government or big government, or specifically the left agenda being pushed now, will be targeted by the media class. I mean, you saw this week where you had big tech companies go into Congress this week for I think the third or fourth hearing, as best I can tell, within the last 6 months or so. And most of the Democrats on that committee spent their time yelling at these big tech companies to suppress conservatives. So you have government officials, elected officials, encouraging private companies to censor Americans. When you hear the word fascism being thrown around by the left, that's actually the type of word that's appropriate here. Big corporations working in lockstep with the government under threat or for ideological reasons, sympathetic reasons, pursuing the political opposition and trying to destroy them. So that's the current state of affairs now. And this is why we have Judicial Watch, to keep on fighting against that, to expose what's going on and telling the truth. Just telling the truth.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all the latest news from Judicial Watch.